Musically Meditated.
Musically Meditated. Musically Meditated.
Welcome to Musically Meditated, episode 15. I have a special guest tonight at the Green Door Studios. It's a few doors down from Green Door Bookstore in Hobart. Go to Green Door Bookstore. Please check it out. All books are $1. Please buy stuff. Talk to Mike. He's usually behind the desk. Give him a hard time. But back to our guests. I have a friend, and it's actually Shretton's bro. It's his brother. It's his blood.
My ugly little brother.
He's pretty handsome. You guys are both handsome. Both gentlemen. Giant
We have
gentlemen.
beards, and it covers a lot of those imperfections.
I'm hanging out with a couple of really cool Serbian dudes here, Serbian cats with Serbian beards, and his name's Bojan. What's up, Bojan?
I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks, man. You've been a really cool support system since we started. I really appreciate that, sincerely.
Yeah, I think you guys have gotten better and better at this, and I'm happy to be here. I just don't want to mess up.
Oh, you'll never mess up.
I don't want you guys to revert back to anything worse. You know.
No.
What's funny is I'm super excited that you and Joe can actually talk about music tonight. And there's one thing that so if you're playing the musically meditated drinking game, what you're supposed to do. I think last week I said you chug your beer if Joe mentions Morrissey, but you actually, if Joe mentions Morrissey, take a shot. If I mention my brother, you take a shot. So it's like that. Like I every time you start talking about something, I happen to mention him because he's a huge, I don't have the same level of musical ability to break things down. Yeah, the taste, everything. Like you're all over the place, and you get in deep with every genre you're into. I like everything, but I can't get that deep with it. Like my brother's been a huge influence, so this is like super exciting just to hear what you guys are talking about. So it's pretty cool. So
yeah, to have a quick brother moment, I give Sretton a lot of credit for getting me into certain genres when I was a young kid. You were part of whatever that CD tape.
BMG.
Weekly, yeah. So some of those things were.
Remember BMG or Columbia House?
Okay.
You mail it in as a magazine. You mail it in.
Yeah.
You get 10 cassettes or CDs for a penny, and then you pay $12 shipping and handling per item.
You ruined your credit for me. It was good to have a base of good music, some of the West Coast rap. I don't even know if you listened to it. Honestly, it was like Ice Cube and Ice-T, West Coast Connection, those kinds of things.
I was obsessed with Ice-T.
Were you?
Yeah. Ice-T and then Ice Cube, and I bought 36 Chambers Wu-Tang for the East Coast stuff, but I didn't like it.
I remember you told me they don't rap on beat, which is insightful. It's sort of true. It's a little off, but yeah. So I got to give him some credit. He gives me credit now, but I don't know if I would have been exposed to some of this stuff. I was young. I was 8, 9 years old. Listening to some of that stuff. I don't know if that might be against some parental book guidelines, but
things were different back then.
Did I ever show you? That was when Lil Kim first came out, and she had that fold-out album thing.
I love that album. Man.
Oh man,
none of you guys listen to that. You guys are just
No, I listen. I like that album. That one song she had with little C's on there,
I love
Crush
that
of the
album.
Year. Remember Biggie was on that one song?
Yeah,
She looked good on that album.
She looked good. She could rap her ass off, and she was super sexy.
She was sexy.
And I
she
was
had a trashy sexiness.
Yeah, which was I was 15.
Right up
That's
your
your
alley.
thing.
I remember, yeah.
16. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that album. I remember my one friend Robbie had that, and we would look at it, oh, she's so hot. But yeah, we were.
I respect her as an artist.
that album, and then it was Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. I remember those two came out at the same time. I was really young, this was probably 7th grade or something. But those two albums, I remember listening to them, heavy rotation, heavy. But yeah, so you credit your brother to a lot of your early hip hop.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think he indirectly. There was just so many tapes. You get 25 of them per order, and then they're all a penny. And then I don't know, just listen to them on our tape deck.
Yeah, I didn't have any brothers or sisters, but I remember my cousins, Getty and Doug, my cousin Getty liked more rock and roll and like country, and then my cousin Doug, he liked a lot of hip hop. He liked everything, but they were kind of older brother types, and they always put me on to like, here's NWA, dude, or like here's Pearl Jam's first album, or Guns N' Roses, like what was it, Lose Your Illusions, like those two albums?
Use
Your Illusions, yeah.
1 and 2.
1 and 2, like I remember when those came out, but it's always cool to have that older brother figure.
That's where we parted ways musically.
Oh, really?
That's where he as like a 7-year-old, his taste got way better than mine quickly, because I was hitting the Guns N' Roses hard right before they did that, whatever that they did a whole album of like Manson, like the Spaghetti something. I think
Spaghetti Incident. Those were all covers.
Manson songs, right?
No, they were just all random covers.
Oh, okay. But it was like they were done, but I started listening. I was listening to Pantera, White Zombie. I was listening to all that stuff.
That's some 1994 style. There.
Yeah,
I remember the year.
And he was into Soundgarden. He was into all this like better, borderline indie stuff. This is my last story, and then I'll stop hijacking the podcast. But I remember we went to Serbia in 1994.
Cool.
And we're with cousins, and it got on the news that Soundgarden broke up. And he was a devastated 7-year-old.
I remember
he
the
was
story.
Like
yeah,
moping around our cousin's apartment, like just wrecked. I can't believe it. I don't even know. He was like, he just learned how to say I can't believe it. He was like, I can't believe it. So I was like, all right, man, this guy's gonna,
he's gonna take.
He's got
off.
good taste. So yeah, that's it.
No, that's badass. Like, I don't know. I that's how I. Obviously, I met your brother first, but he would talk about you a lot and your musical taste. I remember that story. I remember a lot of them, but then he mentioned your blog, and how you've been doing your top 10 for years, and I thought that was really cool. And then after I got to meet you and we talked different genres and stuff, I read your most recent one, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I could tell. Back when we had a vinyl night at the Green Door and you brought your stuff, you had a really cool taste. It was all over, but I agreed with a lot of your hip hop in there, and then you had some really cool indie shit, from what I recall. And then you guys went to a show too. What was that show you went to last year?
We went right around that time. We probably went and saw Future Islands.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so that was a good time. But I want to go back into the blog. Where could people find that, by the way?
It is at Jugo with a J, Jugo, and Rada. It's named after my parents.
Okay.
Rada at WordPress.com. At WordPress. Yeah, no, .wordpress.com. That's how it works.
Okay.
Google it.
Yeah,
It'll be in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes. Yeah.
Botch that link. But I couldn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth dropping the WordPress for $120 a year for one.
I think
it
is for sure. It was
post.
very insightful, man.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
It's something I don't know. It started very, very small. I would say. I think I the first one I did my top 10 or 15 albums, and then maybe 25 songs. And the one that I just did because of, and I know we'll get into it later, but because I thought this year was so good, I ended up doing 30 albums and 100, the top 100 songs, which is quite a bit more than I did last year. And it was just something that I said in the little blurb before it starts that I don't know if anybody noticed or cares, but it was an extra 10 albums this year and an extra 25 top songs. So yeah, I just like doing it. So that's where you can find it. I don't have any Instagram or Twitter that is tied to the blog, but
well, your link's on your Instagram, on your personal Instagram. I know that.
Yeah, and my Instagram is at Bojan Says Potato. So
I like it.
You can find me there.
You can find them there, and you can check out this list. But we will have that, like you said, in the show notes. But how long have you been doing your top 10? Like how many years?
This was my 9th list, and I didn't realize that until I just started clicking back on all the links. So if you go to the blog, you can go back and click on all 9 of those lists. And as I went back, I was fairly proud of what I had put together. Some albums that I actually found out I don't really like were on some of those lists, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. Like after I looked at yours this year and then went back, I was like, man, this dude's got his shit together. And I was like, I got to try to keep up with the Joneses. And then I was like going through my phone to see when the last time, like when I started, and I think mine was like 2013, but I didn't like document it anywhere, like in a blog. That's why I think it's very impressive. And like I found my list, I think I found like 2013 and 14. I don't know where 15s is at, like I lost it, but it was very impressive, like how you have it documented and like your playlist too. Like I need to take some notes from you, dude.
Yeah,
I do. Like it's really impressive.
Thank you.
Really is.
I keep doing it, and I'm not exactly sure how many people are. I mean, I get like whatever the data from the WordPress people of how many people clicked on it, but I have like 5 or 6 people that every year are like, hey, where's the list? And that's enough for me to do it and continue to do it. And even if those 5 or 6 people were like, we don't care anymore, I probably would still do it. Yeah, because I just like it. I mean, it's fun. It keeps me on my toes and keeps me involved in what's out for a certain year, and keeps me involved in what's going on.
Right. And is there any like anything that actually pushed you to do this? Like, like was it just a hobby or like, I don't know. Do you, besides liking to share it, like, is there any?
Yeah, there. When we were in college, actually, Michael, one of the owners of the Green Door, we had a blog. It was a bunch of us, and we had, I think it was like 9 or 10 writers and people that generated content for this blog. And so it wasn't anything major or anything huge or anything, earth-shattering, but we had a little bit of a following at we all went to Purdue, so a little bit of a following there, just writing, and when that ended, it sort of petered out at a point where I was doing a lot of it towards the end, and that's not to say like I hate those. Everybody just like got jobs, so yeah. Nobody was really like had the 3 hours to write a blog piece for no money. So I just kind of kept going with it, and it was a time when Tumblr, I think.
Yeah, I remember Tumblr.
Tumblr's, I think it's still around. I know it's probably for a little bit of a younger crowd, I would imagine, at this point. But when that first came out, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna post stuff onto here. So luckily they have a pretty good cloud or database, because I was able to find all of those things a couple of years ago, and that's where it started. It was just I had started to write about music and post about music with some regularity, and it just kept going.
Cool. And Trenton, didn't you guys have something like a hip hop 50 playlist you were giving me shit about, like something to do with Bojan, like you had his buddies on there and they talk like,
oh yeah, when I first started dabbling in this whole podcast world, we did like, so the Would You Rather podcast, this is like the 3rd time we've tried to do it. The 2nd time we tried to do it, me, the guy I talked about, Genesis, my brother, the other host of Would You Rather, we did a 50 best hip-hop songs, but I made the list. So it was really just 4 hours. We split into 4 parts. It was just 4 hours of them ripping on my list.
Okay.
Because that was during like the Ask Jeeves days. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And I pulled it off of Ask Jeeves. This is before Google was like, became the powerhouse of information. This was right before, or maybe it already was, but I decided to use Ask Jeeves. And
you're a rebel.
Yeah, it was
natural.
I thought it was still a good list. I knew half the songs on there, but it wasn't a deep hip hop list. It was pretty much all like the top 50 mainstream songs. It wasn't
I think Getting Jiggy with It was number 1.
No. I've lost all respect in your opinion now, Shred.
Ask Jeeves.
Oh, Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
We did a thing back in college again. I'm just gonna talk about the college days during this.
Good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. We did a kind of a funny thing. One of my friends, Dale Scalba, shout out to Dale Scalba, who used to do Scalbamania, and it was this giant tournament of just like 64 person tournament of fictional characters, people from movies, real characters, professional wrestlers. And so he did this thing where he would post voting. And so on his Instagram, or on his whatever it is, AOL Instant Messenger, and when he was posting this, people would vote, and then whoever won that competition would move on, blah, blah, blah. So we did it for rappers. And so that actually probably was our most popular thing. And so when Stetson brought this list, and it wasn't too far after that. So we had like this huge tournament of 32 of the best rappers in the world. And then people would vote on who would win, who's the best rapper between whoever it was.
I think that's an awesome idea.
I've been thinking about redoing it again. That. I've had a couple people mention that. Let's steal it.
We didn't steal it, but we might.
Please steal it. I would love for somebody to set that up. But it was one of our more popular things. So when we did that, so we had 32 of the top artists. I don't remember who ended up winning. I think Common or something like that. And then Stetson brought in this list, and none of those people were on it. Like maybe one was on it. I was like, I mean, I think Biggie, obviously, I think they were still alive.
Who else was on his list?
DeBrat? Because DeBrat was on my list.
How many times have you guys mentioned DeBrat on the podcast? No, it was. I don't
Did we do it once?
You did.
I think when we talked female MCs, because you like threw this left.
MC Light and DeBrat.
DeBrat.
And Lil Kim.
You know who we forgot, though, like with that episode was Lauryn Hill.
We did forget Lauryn Hill.
How do you forget Lauryn Hill? I mean, she sang, but she could rap, too.
Yeah, she could rap.
But, yeah, we're getting a little bit off subject. Looking at your list this year, what I like what you did too is you talked about albums that didn't come out this year that you listened to. And one that really caught my eye because we had this, I don't even know if it's still recorded, but we have this Ghost episode. And I was talking about, it was like I did a happy birthday Deftones thing because it was 20 years old. And then I was going to do a happy birthday Machiavelli by Tupac. But we had some recording difficulties at the time. Remember that, Shretton?
Yeah, I don't remember what happened with that.
We were at the bookstore, but Michael wasn't there, and you had customers. Remember that? And we were in the back.
Yeah.
And you had to help out the customers, and I couldn't wait anymore, so I dipped. But at any rate, you had that, you listened to that album a lot this year, and I was like, whoa, so did I.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why that happened. I know I was listening to a previous podcast. I can't exactly remember who you guys had on, but it was like a argument of Biggie Tupac argument, which I always hate. I'm always like,
it's Kyle.
Was it Kyle?
I think it was Kyle.
Kyle and I talked about that.
Why is there always this competition? I don't know. I guess that was their ultimate downfall. But the competition of who you like more, and you have to stand by it and argue your side. Yeah. But I always like Tupac more, even though I still like Biggie. And so I don't know how it came up this year, but I don't know why that album more than others stood out to me. But I love it, and I still
do too.
Listen to it.
It's always stood out to me, but I just like his passion and his anger behind that. And I know it only took 2 weeks to record.
I didn't know that.
Which is really insane. Tupac has, this insane reputation of just knocking shit out. I know, what is the one when he got out of prison? The double disc. I can't think right now.
All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. They knocked that out really quick too. Daz had a bunch of tracks already, production done. So did Dre. And he knocked that out within 2 or 3 months, but he knocked out Machiavelli in 2 weeks, production, everything, that's really impressive. But I think that's why he brought all the Outlaws and shit with him. They're all over the Machiavelli album because he always wanted competition within the studio too. So it kept him even more hungry.
Maybe
but
motivated him.
Yeah, more motivated. But yeah, there's something about that album. There's
it is angry.
Yeah, very angry, and it's very dark. There's a couple radio jams, but especially the closer, Against All Odds, oh
yeah,
it's a really angry track, and he takes a lot of shots at some big names on that album.
Yeah, and it starts angry where
Suge shot me.
Remember?
Yeah, remember the rumor? Suge shot me.
Yeah, the slow, was it Slow Down, or I forgot what it was.
It was just the very beginning.
Oh yeah, it does kind of sound.
Remember,
like
it sounds like a guy in the background.
Yes,
I
hear the swing.
Yeah,
the swing's like a squeaky swing set.
Yeah.
But that right at the beginning, are you sure you want to say these things? Yeah. I mean, then he just does it.
Starts off with a gunshot, and he just
over and over. No, I don't know why that was a this year album. I have no idea. Just I
listened to that album a lot.
Listened to it quite a bit.
Yeah, in 2017 too, for whatever reason. But I think it's a classic, and it's one of those Tupac albums that maybe some of these younger kids that are getting into him now may have. Everybody knows Hail Mary, so that's on there. But if you haven't listened to the album from front to finish, you should really listen to that because it's probably his most passionate work, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
and the album cover is just controversial and just epic and awesome. So, but yeah, that really caught my eyes. Like, whoa, cool. I'm in the same boat with you, dude. So, as far as like your personal musical background, I don't believe you're a musician, but you do have some experience in like promotional stuff, right?
Yeah, and
could you share some stories about that?
Yeah. I wish they were bigger and cooler.
They're big and cool. I know one of them. And Stretton's involved, so it makes it even better.
So
Stretton, you got to get involved in this story.
When I always say that
the end of the story, I fell asleep, but I'll let him talk.
All right.
I always say that I don't always say, nobody really asks, but I've said in the past that I've done everything in music but make it. But that's we tried to do a promotion company at one point. I worked for a company in Chicago for a couple weeks as an intern, doing promotion for like some decently big bands, and what that entails for those people that don't know about like the ins and outs of promotion. All I did was forward interviews to different outlets around the country. So I literally took links and sent them to certain emails of people that are, writers for whatever it was at the time, like Rolling Stone or Fader or whatever the magazine was, or music outlet. So, there's MTV that is all over the place. So at that time we were promoting Mr. Liff is one of the albums that kind of sticks out to me because he's a rapper that I still like. But I had a chance to like get his album early and then send it to these people that were hoping would review it. But at that time they had they had like LP was on there from Run the Jewels was on their roster. They had initially to start like Asher Roth, Justin Bieber, some like pretty eventually became pretty big names, but I never had a chance to even interact with them. If I could like describe the room, it was like, basically I was staring at a computer screen for 3 weeks straight and I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing this anymore. But then we were like, but we can do it better for like local artists and like local Chicago people. So we tried doing that, and to some success, nothing crazy. And then I decided to try to throw some shows, locally and some things in Chicago. And I think probably the biggest one was a Freddie Gibbs show at
Gangsta Gibbs. That's my guy.
At Reggie's.
I love Reggie's too.
It's a great place, great people. The people that you book through for Reggie's, for those people that know, are awesome. The people that they hire for their events absolutely sucked for that night. So I'll tell you just a quick story about what happened. Basically at Reggie's, on certain nights they do 2 shows. So the first show was like some punk, like glam punk kid. It was like the kids that were walking out were like between 14 and probably even younger, 12 and 18 years old, with makeup. And the band before them was like some big band that those kids knew. So long story short, that band was in the green room getting dressed and showered and whatever the heck they were doing in the green room. And Freddie Gibbs shows up to go to the green room, and it was in the winter. It's freezing outside. Freddie Gibbs, I should mention, the nicest guy, super, super cool, really like down to earth guy, but also came because he's, sort of local. He's from Gary. We were in Chicago on the south side, not too far of a drive. He was
right off of 22nd.
Right. Yeah. He was just sort of blowing up a little bit. So he came, but he also came with like 30 other people. And so, it truly was. And so they're wanting to go down into what is the green room, which, again, if you ever get lucky enough to go to the Reggie's green room, it's basically just a hallway room with couches. And it is...
not that awesome.
No, it's not awesome at all.
Most green rooms are not, right?
The Green Door is awesome.
The Green Door is awesome, but most green rooms are exactly that, just a small prep space.
Yeah, for food, for drinking,
groupies.
And for groupies. But they anyway. Long story short, again, I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. The show ended up almost being canceled with probably 250 people in it because Freddie Gibbs and the people that he was with threatened to leave because they couldn't get into the room. And Freddie did not, I mean, he was not one of the people that was like, I got to get out of here, because honestly, he knew that he was going to probably get paid at the end of the night and he couldn't leave, and was super nice about it, but his people were super pissed off. It was delayed, just like a perfect rap show. I don't know how many people have been to a rap concert. They go one of two ways. They really do. They either are great, run perfectly, beautifully, or they can be just an absolute shit show. And our show, my show that I was in charge of, went really poorly. We had way too many openers. People didn't want to get off stage. People were drinking, smoking on stage. Halfway through Freddie's set, and he was killing. Like, it was great. Like, people were going crazy for it. Stetson loved it. He was in the balcony just going nuts.
Really? Getting crunk, Shret?
He was. He may not admit that, but it was a good show for people that like him. And then the lights turn on halfway through his show because it was already past curfew, and so the basis of the why we were there was to put on a good rap show for the people of Chicago, and it was one of my least favorite shows I've ever been to, and I was in charge of it. Yeah, yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, so that's probably the most famous or biggest thing that I did as far as booking shows goes. But
it wasn't your fault. It was Freddie Gibbs' entourage fault.
And the stupid screamo
band before,
glam band. I don't even know what they were. Yeah, that was their fault. the people running the concert at Reggie's who were a nightmare.
I always love how they had the what's his name, Wesley Willis. Is that his name?
I don't know.
The homeless guy that would sing and perform. They have his picture hung up on the wall.
I don't know if I know anything about that.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. Like, that was his thing, and he would always open up for a lot of bands, like especially in the 80s and 90s. And I believe he passed away like a decade ago. But if you go to Reggie's, they have Wesley Willis's picture hung up.
Gotcha.
Like a shrine.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go back there at this point, because I used to love getting off the highway, finding parking right in front, and then going to their record store. That
record store's the shit upstairs.
It's gone.
It's gone now?
They moved it to some like location downtown or somewhere not there.
Really?
So it was like a movie when I walked in there recently. It's like set up for a restaurant. I walked in and I was like, huh? Where's the record store?
The last time I was there, I went to see a band named Rotten Sound, and it was still there, but that was maybe a year and a half ago now.
Yeah, it was in the early or late fall, I don't know, whenever, October, something like that.
Okay,
and it was
so
gone.
it's gone?
It's gone.
Bummer.
Yeah, definitely a bummer.
Total
Probably going to save me some money, though.
What was your other story about Open Mike Eagle?
Yeah, that for the same show, we were trying to figure out who's going to be our headliner, because we wanted a big show. And so Freddie Gibbs brought a bunch of people in, but, you know, with that, there's a price tag for it. Without disclosing how much that is, I reached out to Open Mike Eagle, who at that time was, you know, sort of on the come up. He was, you know, this was 5 years ago now, probably. Now is doing pretty well, has his own show and podcast, and, you know, is being featured all over the place. And he's like, you know, he's from Chicago, and he kind of goes, yeah, I'll do it for $100. And I was like, you know, you often can't get openers for $100. You know, nobody wants to come for anything. He's like, it's in my city. I'll be in town. I'll just do it for $100. And so I was like, this is great. You know, even if he's not the main guy, he was super, super cool about it. And then he ended up, as I probably don't blame him, you know, he ended up booking a different show on a tour with somebody else. So
okay.
It wasn't really, you know, I would not yell at him for doing that at all whatsoever. But yeah, he offered to do it for $100, which is, let's just say, less than 10% of what we ended up paying for Freddie.
Okay.
So yeah.
And I think that's a good way for me to transition into your top 10. And one of the first artists I want to talk about is Open Mike Eagle. So, like, I know he's a Chicago dude. I listened to that album. I've listened to some of his older stuff. I'm still trying to, I don't know, not necessarily be sold, but to really get it. I don't know if I get it, if that makes any sense. But I did watch his Tiny Desk that came out. Shret, and I know you love the Tiny Desk.
Sure do.
And it was impressive, and it was really impressive with the instrumentation that was going on too. You remember that? Like,
the
dudes that he had.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked it, and I liked his presence behind the mic, and I just liked his vibe. You know, it was really, really cool. So, you know, with that album, I don't know, man. What's up with it? I mean, do you...
So the album that he just came out with this past year is, again, he's a Chicago guy, and I don't want to. It's called Brick Body Kids Still Daydream, and so it's really about him and his upbringing in the projects of Chicago that are now destroyed. And
Where
so,
did he, what projects was that?
you know, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know if I'm not
Was he
sure.
a South Side dude? Do you remember, or West Side?
I'm not sure about that either. But I know, I know the basically the whole entire album is about, how the projects are flawed,
Right.
but it's a point of pride for people. You know, that's where they grew up. That's where generations lived. He talks about his family, talks about, the problems there. And one of them is, obviously it's called, those kids still daydream. And so there's a song about daydreaming in the projects, and talks about how, kids are going to be, they're going to grow up and have, imaginations, and they're going to be computer programmers, and they're going to, do big things, and they daydream about those just like anybody else. But really what he's known for is being funny and being kind of doesn't take himself too seriously. Even though what I just described is a pretty serious
topic there, Bojan.
Yeah, gentrification of your home, right. Is definitely serious. But the way that he presents it is always kind of funny and always kind of lighthearted. In this, it is very, very personal. So there are aspects of it that are serious, but I just think he's one of those guys that it's not going to be for everybody. And people that say like, it's not for me. If you give it a few listens and you listen to his lyrical content, I think he's really good at it. He's really good at wordplay. He's really, again, clever, kind of funny at times. He's got some of his earlier stuff. He's got an album called Dark Comedy, which is kind of dives a little bit more into the comedy aspect of it. Like he's got a song with Hannibal Buress where they talk about, like, it's called The Advice Show, and they just kind of go back and forth about like life advice. Like that a man should never drive a Prius or like goofy things, and
Trenton, don't ever get a Prius.
Yeah,
I know you're green.
Don't tell me what to do.
I know you're green, bro, but
don't take HGH. Things like it's just, I think his delivery and who he is. And I know he does his own podcast and has his own show now. Is funny. It's kind of a funny kind of take on something that is very serious and very personal to him. So I love that album. I could probably go on for another 45 minutes talking about certain songs and things of that nature. If you're going to check out one song, I would say there's a song called Hymnal on there that is just brilliant, really, really good.
okay.
About again, growing up with nothing, and then finally having something, anything that to grasp onto, to kind of motivate you to keep moving and do well and kind of pick up the people that are around you. And there's a guest verse on there by Samus, who I have never heard of before. It's a rapper who she comes in and just kills it and talks about, again, building your own scene, kind of like the Green Door, and building from there and grasping onto, again, something and making something out of really absolutely nothing.
Cool. I the first listen, I was really tuned in, like really trying to pick apart his lyrics, but I think what I couldn't really put my mind around was the production, but I know it's good, and I know it's a little bit disconnected. But I like music like that. Like, it doesn't have to have a basic intro, body, and conclusion. Like the what I mean? Like a basic setup for like a paper or something. Like he's kind of all over the place. Am I correct? You think I'm correct with that? Like,
yeah. I think in this album especially, it's a little. I think the first time I went through it, there's a couple songs I skipped almost. I skipped a couple times the first couple times through it. And then I just kind of let them just play, and eventually, they became some of my favorite ones. But yeah, it's a little bit scattered. It's a little bit different. He likes to use all kinds of different machinery and pedals and all kinds of stuff that, if you see some of the stuff that is, like the Tiny Desk, he still does some of that electronic work. It is a little disjointed and a little, I don't know, he kind of has a little bit of that like Quasimodo.
brain dance, I've used that term before, like brain dance. He's got that kind of disconnected brain dance genre style of electronic music behind his beats. Like if anyone, like have you ever heard of clipping before?
Oh yeah.
You know, would you say there's a little clipping flavor in there?
Yeah, clipping's a little more like, I don't know, raw might be the right. I don't know if that's the right word. A little louder. It's a little got some punk in it.
Yeah, like Death Grips almost. But
yeah,
but just the beat isn't just a basic 4/4 beat.
No, not at all. Not and clippings. I think. Yeah,
clipping's the shit.
Yeah, I love clipping.
Clipping's the shit.
I do.
Everybody check out clipping too. I know we're jumping around, but you know, just for the listener that hasn't listened, you know, he does have a cool rhyme style. I haven't tapped in yet, but I want to. And I think, you know, with Tiny Desk, that helps me a lot with a lot of artists. You know, like it's like you kind of get it, but you don't. But then you're able to see them perform live, and you can kind of tell what their personality is, and that helps too.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that you watch and listen, and because of the layout and everything, I would never in a million years just out of the blue listen to most of those things. They just mix it up really well. Right. And then you get a good idea of what that person's like, and almost everyone is really good. I don't think I've ever seen a bad one. Which is not to say that I connect to most of the music. I don't, but they're all really good performances. It makes you intimidated if you ever have aspirations to be a musician performing in front of people. Like these people are all killing it.
Did you watch Tyler the Creator's yet on there?
No,
Shred. You need
no,
to. It's
yet.
good.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Okay.
Because I would like Sutton just said, I would never probably think Tyler the Creator at a Tiny Desk would be something I enjoyed, but I found myself not only I liked what they did, and it was like these, you know, prolonged
goofing around,
jamming, you know, kind of seeing where the music goes. I found myself sort of in love with those two women that were singing, by the way.
Yeah. They were awesome.
They were incredible and beautiful, and like the way they just kind of, because Tyler has come a long way. I think we talked about that at one point earlier, but the Tiny Desk does a good job of letting those bands just kind of do what they want. You know, they can have one song or I think Tyler's show was 20 minutes long. It was 3 songs, something like that. You know, and they just let it kind of get flushed out and, you know, have fun and jam and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so the Open Mike Eagle Tiny Desk is, I think, indicative of, I think, him mixed with Tiny Desk pretty well, because, you know, he does like the singing on his track. You know, obviously singing as a rapper is like a controversial thing, and some people like it and don't like it, but you know, on the record he sounds great.
Yeah,
live.
those that can pull it off, like, more power to you, and then some can't. But yeah, I believe he's an artist that can.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Maybe I'm just biased because I like him so much.
You got a little crush.
I just think he's good.
No,
I think he's a good artist. Yeah, I think he's good. And I do love him.
And you do love him.
And I do love him.
But yeah, real quick, for those that don't know what Tiny Desk is, Shretton, explain it. I'll put it in my. I haven't done a playlist in a while, but I'll definitely put that here for the playlist for episode 15.
One of NPR's shows is a YouTube channel, and I don't know. They have a website for it too, and they have some there's something besides Tiny Desk, but specifically Tiny Desk is just a live 3-song performance. Some people do one less. Occasionally somebody does 4. But it's just they do it in their office, in the NPR office. And I think it's the guy that used to host the NPR show, which is a music show called All Songs Considered or something like that. Bob Boylan. All right, I'm remembering things. But he actually is a really good. It's like, imagine and if he ever hears this, I apologize, but it's like if you ever hear the nerdiest, most analytical person you've ever heard in your life, like some hardcore librarian that just happens to have an insane amount of musical knowledge and just the most spread out, eclectic music taste. He likes everything, and he's just like some. I don't even know what he looks like. He's like he's not an old man, but he's a middle-aged man.
He's kind of old.
And he just, no, but anyways, so he set this up in the NPR office, and they just set it up, and it looks like a little mini like if you would set up a concert in a small part of a library.
Or the Green Door. We're going to do that, by the way.
We're trying, yeah.
It's going to happen.
So, yeah, and they just do it. And the artists, they bring in, I mean, of every genre, even borderline spoken word stuff, even like rock stuff, even, you know, it's great. I'm a huge fan. It's opened my eyes to and ears really to so many new artists.
I believe it was episode 5 of Musically Meditated. I talked Proto Martyr, and that was a really, really good Tiny Desk performance. So people check that out. I know I have a playlist for that. I like them for their, being a rock band pulling it off. It was a great performance.
They had Run the Jewels, and then when they first started,
too.
they had Tom Jones. Tom Jones was one of the first people that did it. So, but you see, like they talk about, for example, Tom Jones he's known for his crazy, powerful voice, and he just sits there. Everything's unplugged, and he just starts singing, and you're like, oh. Well, you actually notice it. There's no mic backups. There's no amplification of his voice, and you just like, oh, okay, this is why this guy is.
Did he do What's New, Pussycat?
I hate Tom Jones. Just for the record, I never liked any.
Have you ever heard of Sex Bomb?
I don't like none of his music. You could throw in apparently you two like Sex Bomb. You could throw all of his music in the garbage. I don't like him.
I gotta give credit to NPR. Quickly here, if you ever go to their music page, they never talk bad about any artist ever. I love it because and I don't know if we'll get to this, but being really critical of music has become like the norm and like become okay and become part of music critique. NPR just kind of like, hey, this is something that this band is making. It's good. And you can now judge whether you like it or not. They don't they don't lead you into this band is not that good. They're a 5 out of 10 or a 3 out of 5, whatever it is. NPR is, I got to give them some credit for that because I've clicked on stuff that I never would click on before and loved it because they were like, hey, this is, they described it really well. They say it's good. I clicked on it. It was good. I don't know. I mean, they're lying on some of those because they're saying everything's good, but I like that they're positive. Like, hey, you figure it out.
We try to keep it positive here, too.
Yeah, allow me to also compliment Joe. Without the influence of NPR, that was his theme when we first started the show, that he wanted to make a point of...
Talk about the shit I like. I don't want to waste anybody's time talking about shit
I love that.
Don't like. I mean, I had the one episode... What was it, with 10 with Mike Barth? Like, I got on my soapbox and talked shit about Eminem.
Yeah, but that was for a short while.
Yeah, because his new material is garbage. It sucks. But, and I just said bad shit about Tom Jones. But that's it. Everybody else,
But it's always quick.
60,
you don't dwell on it.
I'm not going to dwell.
You don't do like a top 5, top 10 of the year of songs you didn't like. Who cares?
The 60 and older crowd is so pissed off at you. The Tom Jones hate. The one thing I used to do with my list is the most disappointing, and I actually took that out this year, and it's because this has been going through my head, this idea of why am I going to list like something that like I thought was going to be good? That was my disappointing thing. Like I thought it was going to be good, and then it came out, and I wasn't crazy about it. Like why am I even listing that? Like I mean, who's going to get anything out of that? Am I going to get anything out of it? Like dwelling on why?
Like, we could all turn on the news right now and be watch a buzzkill or listen to some negative garbage. Like,
of course, yeah.
Let's keep it, positive. PMA, baby. You know, positive mental attitude at all times. But one last thing about Tiny Desk, and we'll move on. I did see an artist in one of your top 10s. I think it was the year before, but she's a female rapper, No Name.
Oh yeah.
Is that how you say it?
No Name. Yeah.
And she's a Chicago rapper too. I really like that album. That came up on my Spotify this year. I think it was like Baby or something Baby on that.
Too many babies in suits.
Is that what it is? Like
it's like the darkest, most sad lyric to ever exist. Is that what's sticking out to you?
Yeah, that came up. Like that song, whatever that is, that came on like my Spotify most listened to.
Diddy Bop.
Yeah, and it was from last year. Which doesn't really matter. But yeah, I really liked her and. I do like her, and she was on Tiny Desk, and it was a decent performance. You could tell she was a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah. She's, we actually saw her at Lollapalooza this year, and I went to Lollapalooza for the first time in a few years, and I went to go see her and went to go see Arcade Fire. Those are like the only two things that I even cared about during, throughout the day. And she was really good. and she did, all of the songs and all the the things that people wanted to hear. But I loved her Tiny Desk because it kind of shows her, she was a little bit embarrassed, a little bit nervous, a little bit like, standoffish, kind of, a little quirky.
Yeah.
But yeah, her album's great. That lyric, she's talking about, how there's gun violence in Chicago and there's too many babies in suits.
Yeah.
And, that can make you cry if you think about it too long.
Easy with the buzzkills.
Yeah, my bad.
It's okay.
Look it up.
It's real, though.
Diddy Bop, No Name. I can't remember what the album's called. But
Bye, Baby, Bye. It's like, I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But everyone, if you don't know who No Name is, she's got this really cool, quirky, kind of witty rap style, but there's like a sense of 90s, I don't know. I don't want to say R&B, but
yeah, it's a little poetry-y, spoken word-y kind of stuff.
Yeah, like Def Comedy Jam. Like she almost has a left eye from, like kind of little nasally left eye sound to her, right?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
I
agree.
from whatchamacallit, TLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, check her out, man. She's really good. But let's transition back to your top 10. And what was number 1 on there? I believe it was Run the Jewels.
It was Run the Jewels.
Let's get into some Run the Jewels because we've talked about them before, but I know you're a huge fan. Let's get into Run the Jewels.
Yeah. This album came out on Christmas last year. Of 2016. And so I have a theory that if it came out in April last year, it would have been, top, album of 2016. But since it came out that last week, it wasn't on anybody's list because those things now come out in November and, the beginning of December. And so it wasn't on anybody's lists. And then this year it wasn't on a whole lot of lists because people were, it unfortunately came out in 2016.
Came
so
out
I think
on like Christmas.
It did, yeah. I think a lot of people
16 or something crazy. Yeah, I didn't listen to it for a while, like maybe 4 months, and after it came out, like it was there, and all their album covers look the same, but it's a different color type deal.
Yeah,
it was bad promotion.
You know what? They don't sell.
I don't think they care though.
They don't do. I know the first 2 are free. All 3 of them are free. Online, you could download all 3 of them for free.
I didn't know that.
They did do they do have physical releases. They do a lot of other stuff. They sell so much merch. Like if I merchandise. My bad. For those that don't know. But I get an email like every other week about a new
T-shirt,
the Run the Jewels T-shirt, the Run the Jewels like Christmas shirt, whatever it is. But so they did it on they released it on Christmas. So for me, not that anybody would truly care, but I was like, I don't care that it came out in 2016. I'm putting this number 1 because number 1, I listened to it more than anything all year long. Number 2, I think it's their best effort. It might not have their best song on it, but overall they've gotten so good at what they do. This album it comes out a month and a half after Donald Trump gets elected, and they don't talk about Trump. They don't call him out by name. They don't say anything like that, but they just kind of talk about kind of the feeling of that moment. And the feeling of like kind of the campaign as well, and the way the country was fracturing a little bit. And really almost every one of the songs is about their attempt at success in this world. And it starts with, a song in the first lyric is something along the lines of like, I hope I never go back to the streets. It's that honest. Like, I hope, that this will actually work. And they always talk about, I don't know if anybody catches this. I know Srethan likes them. I know you do too.
I don't know very many people that don't like them.
Yeah.
If you don't like them, I don't like you. How about that?
They always talk about, about being millionaires. They're like, hey, let's be millionaires. Cause they tour relentlessly. They're on tour always.
I haven't got to see them live. Have you?
No, I haven't, and I was really excited. Well, you want to listen? I'm throwing this out here. So I saw a thing. They're coming to Chicago, and I was like, "Oh, awesome! I'm gonna go." And then when I clicked on the link, it was for the Allstate Arena, and I was like, "Whoa, no, that can't be right." So I clicked on it, and the link was for Lorde. They are literally opening for Lorde.
Damn.
Which is ridiculous because
it is ridiculous.
Those 2 things don't mix, right?
No, but that's pretty big. I mean, Lorde's huge. So props to them. Like it doesn't.
I'm hoping they do like a sideshow at the Metro or something, or at the House of Blues or whatever it is on that night. But I kept clicking it. I was like, is this the wrong link? Is it not been posted yet? Yeah. Wow. But anyway, the album, I think, I've been a fan of LP forever, and I'll give a quick shout out to my friend Troy, Sev Severe, who put me on LP a long time ago, probably 12 years ago now.
Can I cut you off just real quick with that?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video with LP, Slug from Atmosphere, ASAP Rock, Immortal Technique, and Diabolic on it?
In the Cypher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody needs to go on YouTube and look that up because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those like classic ones that people constantly go back to.
Okay.
I
stumbled across it like maybe a couple years ago. I'm like, whoa, what? Because I've always been a huge Immortal Technique fan. I love them. I met them before.
Oh, nice.
At the Abbey Pub, and that's a story in its own. We'll get there maybe one day. But yeah, I was really, really impressed because I don't remember LP. Like I kind of remember the fact that he was a producer, but I never knew that he rapped.
Yeah.
Was he always rapping?
Yeah, he had Company Flow, if you ever go back and look at that. It's kind of a funny, quick story. Troy and I were camp counselors at one point. And so the kids were, this is the true story. The kids were outside playing Foursquare, and he's like, hey, dude, and I was just kind of dabbling in rap at that point. I really wasn't into, a whole bunch of different things. And he's like, hey, you got to listen to this. And it was Cannibal Ox, Cold Vein. I don't know if you know Cannibal Ox.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And it hit, and I was like, I've never heard anything like this before.
Yeah, they're like a real...
This is still rap. So that was an LP produced song and album.
Oh,
and
okay.
so that kind of got me into, like you said, Aesop Rock, Atmosphere, that whole wing of rap that I wasn't aware of before. So I've been a fan of his forever. I knew Killer Mike just from some of the stuff that he did with Outkast, but them two separately are good and had success. But them two together it doesn't make sense that it works because you have like this New York producer rapper with this Southern rapper, but it works and they're just getting better. And I just hope they keep going and keep making these albums. I don't care what color they get to, just keep making them, keep putting them out in whatever color they want to put out, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't care.
It's cool because it shows how opposites do attract, just because of, like you said, where they're from. And I think Killer Mike, I watched some interviews. He's like, what's a better thing to rap over than an LP beat, And they complement each other. They really do. There's just like a really good tug of war there, and you wouldn't think it would work, but it really does. It really does. I'm a big fan. I like the Red album better.
Yeah, I do. I've heard people say that,
but I do like this one. Like it was it had to grow on me. It's in my. Because I guess the Grammys, it's like November to November, So you're, like when you said it was December, like you could still put it in that for your year list if that helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the case for all the music nerds out there. Cool. Like it could be 2 months into the year prior, just in case. But I just really like the Red album better. Maybe because that's the first one I really heard. Like. I remember the Black. What do you remember the names? I don't remember the names.
It's just Run the Jewels 1, Run the Jewels 2, and Run the Jewels 3.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, the Red album. That's my jam.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if it's on this album or the Red album where they say we're so alike we can't stop high fiving. Was that this album?
That's a lyric from Gold.
Oh, that's on Gold. Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Mike thinks so alike we can't stop high-fiving. On tour they high-five, and so it is that like the opposites attracting. And
I love showing people Run the Jewels for the first time, like especially if it's people that I know that are gonna like it. Like if I know we have something in common musically, like hey, check this out. Like especially if it's a decent system.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And then it's, you just see them smile like, yeah, you like it.
Yeah.
It's good shit. Like I do that with them, and then Death Grips, and Death Grips usually terrifies people. And I like that impression too. Like I like that response because I'm kind of cynical.
I listened to Death
times.
Grips last night while I was cleaning the snow.
Did it help you shovel more?
Yeah, I was going nuts. I almost busted my ass.
But and then your number 2 album, we'll get into that too. That was Kendrick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. I just
Kendrick
Lamar Damn. The album is really good, and I think he's kind of set himself up for expectations that are ridiculous to a certain extent because of Good Kid, Mad City, and because of To Pimp a Butterfly. I think like right now we're expecting him to be every song to be able, to be great. Some of them to be pop hits like on the radio. Some of them to be, the underground, still kind of the grimy old Kendrick, and also have like an underlying theme, an overlying theme, and all that stuff to work perfectly. Does that happen on Damn? I don't think so. But is it really good? And are there individual songs that I think are incredible? So I said that, yes, they are. I said that DNA is my favorite song of the year. It's one of my favorite rap songs of all time. And I just think
it's a great song.
I just think his delivery, his, the sort of the message. I think one of the biggest overlying themes of rap is like, being real, and what's more real than, your DNA, and the way that he does it is just, it's great, and questioning other people's DNA and questioning what they're in it for. And then, just rips people a new asshole at the end of the song, which is
very end.
beautiful.
Yeah, remember Shet and I told you, like, I think it was maybe episode 6 when I reviewed that, but I was like, yeah, at the very end, you got to check out the very end. Remember the video? And
that's the one where he just says like how many lines?
Things. I don't know. It's a lot of bars.
That was that was crazy.
Yeah, and he's wearing the cool, like, I don't know, is it like a Kung Fu get up outfit?
Hey, Kung Fu Kenny.
Kung Fu Kenny.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Kenny.
Yeah.
Right.
I could do without that. I think, I think that knocked it down a little bit. I don't know. I mean,
I think that whole thing was that whole mixtape. Like, remember, I don't know if it was before your time, but you'd get Funk Flex, and it was like the Napster days.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And you would always download those illegal songs, and then like DJ Clue would be on there. Or Funk Flex, like, remember that?
Yeah, destroying good songs that you worked really hard to illegally download.
And I think he did that on purpose.
Yeah, but why? Like, it doesn't fit to me. It's like it's a fairly serious album about all kinds of stuff, and then it's like,
well,
Kung Fu Kenny.
It's silly. It's silly, but he could do what he wants. Did you hear?
Yes.
Did you hear the new? I don't know if it's a rumor or it was a suggestion to listen to that album backwards, like not literally, but like on the record, but start at track 15 and then work all the way to the first track.
Yeah, I just ordered that on vinyl because I didn't buy Damn.
So it starts there.
It starts with the last track.
Okay, that's what's going on because I love that.
And
last
it's white,
track.
and you know how that goes. You just have to get the
nerd out
the limited edition white album.
I like that because the order of that album was always odd to me.
Yeah,
the original order, because I love that last song.
Yeah, the last, it's kind of the story of. Is that the last song? The story of his dad and
it's long and.
Yeah, I'm again. I think that his last couple albums, actually, Section 80 was really good too.
It's my favorite still.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think that's the first time I heard him, but like, there's not a lot of shit to skip through. That's how I judge albums personally.
Yeah.
Like, when he's doing songs like this one, I like it, but songs with Rihanna.
Yeah, that song's catchy though.
Yeah.
It's still like I hated the one he did with Drake on Good Kid, Mad City. I think it was on there. I just thought it was just corny. It was about love. Like, I'm not into all that, but I'm not
into love. I'm a heartless man.
I truly am not. I'm not all that interested in rapping when rappers rap about love. I never really liked LL Cool J. I don't really like when other people do it. I don't know why. It's not the genre for
love, compassion.
Love to me. It's a.
I'll just put on R. Kelly and call it a day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like I don't need rappers.
Right.
To,
I thought that was a great window for you to talk about Morrissey.
Well, no, you keep bringing up Morrissey this episode.
I do. So I'm going to listen to him this week. That's all I'm listening.
You should. We listened to him at the bookstore today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Change of pace.
Siri, play The Smiths. Because Michael kept bumming me out with the Nationals, so I had to bum him out with the Smiths. But at any rate, yeah, I like Damn. I don't know where I put it at in order of my least, like my favorite, or I don't know. But it has the best singles. On a positive note, those are his best single releases, I feel.
Yeah.
DNA and what was it, Pride? Humble.
maybe.
Yeah, Humble. When Humble came out, everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And it's a catchy beat.
It's a really catchy beat, really great hook, chorus. I think it might be one of his weakest raps, like out of anything, but like the hook saves it. I mean, sit down, be humble. I mean, it's
great.
so good.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good catchphrase too. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Catchphrases make people famous.
I got to tell Shretton that on a regular basis because his ego gets out of control.
I know.
And I was like, dude, you need to see he's getting mad right now. But to the next album, though, the XX, man, I like them as an artist, artists, because it's a man and a woman.
Yeah,
correct?
There's two men and a woman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that the dude doing the beats and the production? Give me a little background about them.
Jamie XX does the production work. He had a couple albums that like critically acclaimed. I never really got all that into, but he did that Gil Scott-Heron song. That no, you've been hey. I don't know if that was a great song. I'm sorry, I sang, but
I always said Jill. I didn't know it was Gil.
It might be. I don't know. Yeah,
but yeah.
He's R.I.P. But he anyway. So he makes all the music, and this album was a little more upbeat. The second album was really kind of slow, a little bit prodding along. I wasn't crazy about it. I loved their first album.
Was that with Angels on it?
Yeah, it got me into it. It was it was catchy. It was really good. It had some of the songs that ended up in like commercials and things like that. And then this one really kind of surprised me because I was like, you know what, I liked their first album, but their second album completely turned me off. So
was that the black one?
No, the black one was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this new album's more upbeat. It's got some really super catchy hooks, and I think they're back and forth when they both sing on tracks. They balance each other out really well. Kind of that, I don't know. The first one that came to mind is Sonny and Cher, but that's not a really good comparison. Where one would sing and then the next one would come in. Well,
they had a great dynamic.
They did.
R.I.P. Sonny Bono.
Yeah, of course, always. Yeah. But yeah, that album it's good from start to finish. It's one of those. I try to always compartmentalize where I would listen to albums, but that album is like a relax at home, do something productive at home album. It's not necessarily gonna, destroy your speakers in your car, or, get you going like that. But it's catchy, it's upbeat. I really like that band. I'm excited to see if I hope they just keep going in this direction where it's a little more upbeat, a little more, I'm not a big electronic music fan at all. And some of their second album kind of just had like this slow building electronic that didn't lead to much.
I like that album.
Yeah. The second one?
I like the electronic stuff personally. But yeah, I like the XX. A good friend of mine, my best friend, Mike Paris, rest in peace, he showed them to me years ago. And he's like, dude, you got to check them out. Got to check them out. I'm like, okay. And he turned me on to them, and I've liked them ever since. It's just how it is with friends. Like they show it to you, and then didn't they come to Chicago last year? Didn't they do a live show?
I know they tour quite a bit too.
Are they British?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I whenever a band does a good first album, I always am like, okay, I hope I like the second album, but it just didn't click with me. So I was excited to see that their third album did. Good,
man. Yeah, I definitely dig them. Now, let's get into SZA a little bit, because I have like some girlfriends and they love her, and I try to get into it. I like females, like female R&B singers, or she raps too, right? Kind of. Or is it?
Yeah, a little bit maybe. Okay. That might qualify as rap.
What do you like about that album? I mean,
I got into it really late in the year, and then just listened to it for like a month straight because I really did like it. I'm not,
because that caught me by surprise with you. Like, it was on your top 10. I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to check this out, because like I said, a lot of girls were telling me, hey, this is good. Just
like one of those girls. But
yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Finally, no. It's I really am not an R&B. Necessarily an R&B fan, but last year, I compare her, and I think other people have done this, so I'm not like groundbreaking, but to like what Frank Ocean does and did, and the Frank Ocean album last year like blew me away. And I'm not necessarily always into that type of music, but it really is. It's every one of the songs that I like on there on SZA's album could be playing on like your top 40 radio if it wasn't, it didn't have curse words or whatever.
She gets pretty raunchy on there. It's like, oh, easy, SZA.
Yeah, she's
damn girl.
Yeah, she's got the song with Kendrick.
Yeah, that's the one with Kendrick is like, woo, all right.
That
making
actually
me blush.
That actually got me into it. Well, if you listen to it, she's not just talking about, it's more about like respecting, when somebody offers this great thing to you.
Oh, okay.
That you shouldn't take advantage of.
Connect the dots, Shretton.
Yeah. And you should respect it, and I do like, again, it's probably the furthest thing from if somebody was like, oh yeah, you like that? That's probably true because I don't listen to anything else that's similar to it almost at all. But I really liked Frank Ocean's album last year.
Okay.
I'm really excited for Frank Ocean's. Supposedly is coming out with another album this year. It's kind of a little bit more of a spacey kind of, I don't know. It's not straightforward, drum bass type of R&B where it's like, there's more to it. It's more layered. The lyrical content's a little bit different. So I just think she's super catchy, super talented, and really has a knack for, putting songs together. I know she was nominated for a bunch of Grammys and things like that, so people notice that it's happening. But she's part of that, that TDE collective type of. So she's got Kendrick's.
TDE?
Yeah, Kendrick's on a song, and I know she's kind of featured. She's been featured on other things, but
that helps her cause right now.
Yeah, of course.
If you don't know what TDE is, it's Top Dog Entertainment.
Yeah,
it's Kendrick, Schoolboy Q. Who else? Absol.
Yeah, J-Rock,
and SZA.
Yeah,
that's I did not know that. That's cool.
I think she. I mean, I don't know if she's like. I know she's with them. I know she's part of that in some form or fashion.
Okay. To move on to some of your indie stuff here, while I'm looking, and we'll close out with this one because I don't get it yet. But what about the new Shins album? I do like the Shins.
Yeah. I do like this album. It's different. It's completely different than anything else they've done.
Okay.
The band basically is one guy now. I mean, he probably the band would probably disagree with this, but it's James Mercer who started the band, but none of those guys are with him anymore. None of the guys that made Oh Inverted World or any of those first albums are on this one at all. And this one's way more spacey, psychedelic, weird at times. But he still has that same voice. He still is really good with, putting together catchy lyrics. And it's not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite Shins album, but it still made that list because it has enough there. Some of the lyrical content is just weird. It's way, way different than sort of the straightforward stuff that they initially did about love and people around you. I
love their first album. What's it called?
That's Oh Inverted World.
Yeah, Oh Inverted World. That's
a great album.
I kind of skipped out of your top 10. That's
okay.
It's okay. It's number 13 on his list, folks. He's got a lot of albums on here, so you got to check it out. But back to, and correct me if I'm wrong, The War on Drugs. That's indie, isn't it?
It is. That's something people kind of hate on them a little bit.
I couldn't really get in. I mean, I tried, but it's just slow.
It is a little bit slow. Yeah, it's it's one of those things that would be perfect at the Green Door to be playing instead of Morrissey and the National for a change. I mean, I like those, but maybe on like a slow Sunday or something.
Yeah. It's a rainy day listen.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think I've never been a big fan of like jam music. I was never into like the Dead and no offense to them, I just wasn't ever into it or Fish or anything like that. But this is like the closest I think I would ever get to like a jam type of music. And some of these songs are like 7-8 minutes long, and it's just it's one guy's idea, and then his bandmates kind of help him through it. But again, it's difficult to argue for it if you're not into something that is just kind of easy to listen to, you won't like it. It's not that it's like groundbreaking with any of its lyrics or anything like that either.
But
it's
a
just
good chilled
really,
listen.
really good musicianship, really good, vocals, really clean production. I think that's what I like about it most. Like, you put it on and it just sounds really nice and good, and that's probably the best description I can get. Nice and good.
Nice and good.
It's nice.
I need that in my hectic life.
Yeah.
I need some shit to chill
it'll
to.
relax you. Yeah.
And Father John Misty, that's on your top 10. I know you love him because I remember you had a bunch of records. You know that you brought a bunch of Father John Misty to the vinyl night. What do you love about him as an artist in general? I mean, this album, but what about some older stuff? Is there a lot to check out?
Yeah, this is his third album under the Father John Misty, moniker. He has some other stuff under his Josh Tillman. His first two albums to me are way better than this one. Just overall are more direct, concise. His kind of his shtick and what he does is he's smart, and he wants everybody to know he's really, really smart. And his song lyrics and what he says and what he does is a commentary on all kinds of different things. A really good introduction to him. His first two albums are great. So he's got Fear Fun is the first album, and then I Love You Honey Bear is the second one. And this one is a little bit bigger. So he has I don't know how many songs it is. It's like 16 songs, but it spans like an hour and a half. He's got one song called Leaving LA that's 13 minutes long or something like that. And it's just lyric after lyric about, I don't know, 21st century struggles of, random things about, the Leaving LA one is about, somebody that is trying to survive in LA, and kind of has this commentary about what we are, what is important, what is not important, how ridiculous some of the things that we find important to us are to other people. But a really good introduction to him would be the actual song Pure Comedy, which is the opener to the album.
The new album, right?
The new album, this one that I'm describing here. Because it's a lot of what he does is commentary, and it's funny. And he's got lyrics that are funny, and he's got, it's always kind of this tongue-in-cheek thing. Sometimes he gets a little too smart for his own good, and kind of.
Is he wittier than Morrissey? There's a Morrissey reference.
I don't know enough about Morrissey. Maybe you can school me on that one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. But he's really, I think he's going for that kind of thing. And I think eventually when he's how old Morrissey is,
probably early 60s.
When Josh Tillman is in his early 60s, he's also gonna be saying all kinds of controversial things. Just
Morrissey don't care.
Morrissey doesn't care about if he goes to a stadium, they can't serve hot dogs or whatever. The rule is you can't have food or meat products, whatever it is. I can see Father John Misty kind of growing into that kind of like
that ego.
Ego. But he keeps talking about how he knows he has an ego, and keeps talking about how like ridiculous having an ego is. But then I think he does have an ego. It's
witty lyrics though. He's
incredibly witty, really,
I love that.
Really funny. The opening line of the second song is betting Taylor Swift every night inside the Oculus Rift, which is like we're getting to it's called Total Entertainment Forever. It's about how we can't just sit and think that we have to be entertained 100% of the time. And so the thing that he finds entertaining is that he will be betting Taylor Swift inside the VR, whatever world. And so everything that he talks about kind of has to do with current events without saying like, hey, this is how I feel about this person or these people. It's catchy. At times, that's the problem with this album. At times, this some of the songs just kind of drag, and it's just kind of poetry. It's just kind of him singing.
Yeah. You sold me on him.
So
though, I like witty lyricism for sure.
He's really good. I would suggest going from the start of his catalog though to work your way to this. Don't start with this.
Don't start in the back.
Yeah, because I think this one's a little bit more. You have to be a fan to really get what he's doing.
Good, and to move on to the last one on your top 10 that I want to talk about because I don't get it yet. Like it's a double album, so and it's got a lot of praise, And I think my problem with it is Southern hip hop really isn't, I don't know, my favorite. Like,
yeah, it's always been like my favorite.
I mean, I love Outkast, don't get me wrong, like, but what's up with this new Big Crit? Is it that good? Should I really spend a lot of time to listen to like 30 songs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should.
Okay, it's that good?
I've always loved Southern hip hop. I can talk about that for a while, and a lot of what got me into rap was Southern rap, and Outkast has always been a huge driving force to what I like. I don't remember which podcast you guys were talking about, Yellow Wolf. But
I think I dissed him pretty bad.
You did. It was the Eminem one because his major release was terrible.
It was awful.
And it was not good. Again, we're gonna keep it positive though.
Yeah.
But I love that that Southern. I love the Southern rap. I love the Southern topics. I like that he continues to talk about how having subwoofers is a way of life, and that you are judged on your manhood based on the subwoofers that you have. I just think it's to a certain degree ridiculous. But also he's a really good rapper. He's really good at it. He's really good at, he produces all of his stuff. He
keeps it positive, and he keeps it kind of gospel too, ain't it? Like there's a religious flair, a Christianity thing going on, right?
One of the singles was Keep the Devil Off, which is, again, a really good, it is like a kind of a Southern gospel hook. But then
is he Mississippi boy?
He is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that about him. I got family down there. Shout out to Iuka.
Yeah.
Iuka, Mississippi.
Oh
yeah.
He's got a song with T.I. And T.I. I kind of like some of the stuff that he's done, but T.I. to me is a really good feature guy. He's really good with his features.
He's a good businessman.
Yeah. It's
very intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at making features, and so he has a song called Big Bank with him, which is, I turn that up to, as high as my car stereo will go.
So it's a good one.
Yeah.
Like I've listened to it, but I've probably only got through like 15 songs, on two listening occasions, because it's really long and I don't want to talk down about it, but it's a double album. And props to Big Crit for putting out a double album. Nobody does that anymore.
Right. The closest thing, I don't know if you guys have ever discussed Danny Brown. Did you guys?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Danny Brown did.
I love Danny Brown.
Did his album Old was kind of like that, where the first half was sort of a straightforward rap album, and then the second half kind of changed a little bit more of like it was like a dubstep influence type album, or second half. That's kind of what this album is. So the first half is kind of that traditional Southern, subwoofer bang, the speakers type of rap, and then the second half is a little bit different. It's kind of got a little bit of a calmer, kind of more introspective, a little bit, like you said, a little bit of that gospel kind of comes in. That song kind of kicks off the second half, but take your time. Like if you don't like it, that's perfectly
subjective.
okay.
Yeah, it's all subjective. All music is, but I want to like it because people like yourself, they really like it, and then other reviews that I've read, on Pitchfork or The Needle Drop, like, Fantano loves it, and I respect his opinion, so I want to like it. It's a long ass album.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
To get into it, but with the Southern rap, there's something. I mean, when I think Southern rap, I think Ghetto Boys, and I think that's why I'm like forever tainted, because they were so hardcore and just so awesome. Like it's hard for anyone to ever be the Ghetto Boys again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shitty way to like hold people, like hold them to the Ghetto Boys bar, and it makes me look like an old dude. But like
I don't love all Southern rap. Like there's the Paul Wall, Mike Jones, like it's a Houston rap scene that I really wasn't into, but.
Paul Wall, he's cool. I mean, for what it was. Bubba
Sparks. Actually, I wasn't into Bubba Sparks. I'll
or
be
Slim
honest.
Thug. Remember that whole era of like 2000 to 2010 hip hop. Like,
yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah, especially down there, because I think Outkast to me is like the benchmark, and even like some of the releases that Big Boys had. I wasn't crazy. He put out an album this year, and I thought it was terrible.
Did he?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. But the one he put out an album a couple years ago that I thought was just as good as any Outkast album, was just as good as Speaker Box that he put out with
Andre 3000 was on that new NERD album.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't get a chance to really get into it. At the very end,
because I was just like, I heard good things, and I went through, and I was like, oh, Andre 3000, and like, he didn't show up till the very end for like a minute, and then he rapped, and it was decent, you know?
Yeah, it's just like on that Kanye album when they're like, yeah, it's Andre 3000.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, where? When?
See,
when
like with Kanye, my thing with Kanye and Jay-Z and all them that have their own streaming thing, like, I don't listen to it because I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like them enough to do it.
Yeah, that's when you get somebody to get it for you. You know.
All right. Yeah. Good point, but
if you want.
Did you like that album by Jay-Z this year?
I really like the story of OJ. I think is what it was called. I think I put that on the top 100 songs. But I've never really been a Jay-Z fan, and I just haven't.
I like his first album.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that.
Doubt.
I think when I was growing up, or I was a little bit older, the Black Album had those hits. But I was never a huge fan of his. I'm not crazy about this album this year. I listened to it. I gave it a chance, like an honest chance, and it just didn't stick.
Two things, though, before we close out here. I asked you to check out Tyler's album because I know you said he ruffled some feathers. And I agree with you. Like, he hasn't ever really put out a solid piece of work that reflected him the best. Like his best as an artist. But did you like Flower Boy? Because that was my favorite hip hop album this year.
Yeah, I know we talked about it before, and I listened to it a few different times.
Was it on your list?
No, but I ended up adding a couple of the songs that stood out to me. 911 with Frank Ocean, because I really like him.
The Frank Ocean thing, I don't know much about him. I didn't really listen to that album last year. My favorite guy from Odd Future is Earl Sweatshirt, for sure.
Yeah, supposedly he's going to be coming out with something here soon.
You like him? Like
I do.
Chum
I do.
And
yeah, I like him. I think out of that collective, the reason it turned me off was I was just annoyed by him. I was annoyed by Tyler.
He's annoying.
Yeah, and even in his like subdued, I just think he's kind of a wild dude. Like, he's just hyper.
He's just a goofball.
You know, yeah, he's a goofball.
He's that class clown in class that just never shut up.
Yeah.
That annoyed you, like, even though he was trying to be funny, you know?
Yeah, and some of it was like, let me just, like, blurt out something, and dress like an idiot. But as I listened to the album and as I listened to it a couple of times, I can see why people liked it. I really love the opening track where he does like the, how many cars does it take to last stop? That kind of like where he's building on it. Yeah. Oh yeah. The production of,
just the flow too, you know, like song to song, like it's got a good flow for an album.
He has, I would say, one of the best lyrics that I heard in a really long time. Cause supposedly he's coming out of the closet during this album. And he says something along the lines of like, my day 1s and 2s become 3s and 4s because of track 7. And I was like, that's good. Because in track 7, he talks about how he's in love with somebody and talks about him and he and all that kind of stuff. I just thought that was it was a good lyric. It was, and obviously when you're talking about something like that, if it's not genuine, then, forget this. But if it's genuine, I think
it's groundbreaking in that level because hip hop's never ever touched those.
Yeah,
Whatever Ocean, you want to call. I mean, I know Frank came out of the closet, but he was like the first dude. But hip hop has never been associated with anything like that. I mean, I know it's a touchy subject, but that's the history of it. It's a fact. So
maybe the way he did it. I mean, he's kind of being quasi vague about it, but
yeah. But now to switch the subject. What about that John Wayne rap album too?
Yeah, I listened to that one.
What did you think about that?
It's actually what I'm listening to now.
I'd like to get your opinion because I know you know your hip hop.
Yeah, I love the first track, the TED Talk song, where he's talking about doing a TED Talks about shitting on people and what they do. I love it. I
think it's some really good lyricism. Like some of my favorite lines or bars are from TED Talk too.
Yeah, I like that song. Here's and again, this goes back to like mid 2000s rap. They just, whenever they had skits, I always hated skits. Like the last skit I liked was Wu-Tang skit.
Wu-Tang always had NWA Wu-Tang had great skits. But.
Yeah, I'm like over it. And so like you start with that great song, the TED Talk song, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna maybe I just missed this album. And then he goes into the skit where he's at the party and
it was dumb.
It's stupid. It's really dumb. I don't know what the point of it was. I don't know what he's trying to get off of that like talking about, you don't look like a rapper. Why talk about that? Like, you don't look like a rapper, so what? Like, just move forward. But he's like, oh yeah, I don't see it, man. I just thought it was kind of it was like, all right, this is a great opening, and then I was like, all right, let me
little buzzkill there. I agree.
And there's another one that does the same thing where he's trying to like, I don't know, he keeps rapping and then he stops, and then he raps and he stops, and
I
he's
didn't like that either.
Forget this.
Yeah.
The other track that stood out to me, and part of it is because of DiBiase on the track, the last one, the words are important to me, or words are, I love that, I mean, I just listened to that before I came in here. The production's great. I know John Wayne does most of his own production.
Yeah, he does.
But those two songs to me really, really stood out. So the first one and the last one, some of the stuff in between is really personal.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah, it's not personal. No, I don't dislike it, but yeah, it's very personal.
Very personal, and like I like when rappers or any artist for that matters, like you said, stuff about Tyler, like to be able to dig in deep and expose it, for everybody to hear, to listen to see, like, especially if you're a good wordsmith with hip hop, like you can do it in a way that I could relate to it or you can relate to it. And there's something with John Wayne to where I know, like, before that album, he was talking about quitting, like just altogether he was done. Right. And then he just came out with that because he got with a new record label or something. So, he really dives deep into his personal life. And there's some things in there that, like, I felt like I could personally relate to. Mm-hmm. Just like, a dude in his 30s, like, you're still trying to figure out certain things in your life, and he's able to break that down, I feel.
Yeah, no, it reminds me a little bit of like an Atmosphere album, except for Atmosphere always did like, he was always talking about somebody else. He's always like, all right, this is Sreten's struggles.
Right. He never actually claimed it as his.
But
John Wayne does.
Yeah, some of the similar like lyricism about very, very personal things, about real struggles, about day to day. I like it. I'm still working my way through it, but I keep giving it, keep playing it. So that's
it's a little bit disconnected, like production wise, and he kind of, like you said, like you'll really like something, and then there's like a weird, like like the skits, and it kind of loses. It's not a perfect mesh of songs, but I like what he's doing with it as far as like a personal hip hop way, and I like his flow. Like I've shown it to others, and some people are like, "Oh, he's just a little bit too Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss type of rapper." It's like, yeah, and then
I'm a poet and I know it.
Yeah,
I'm not crazy about that line.
Right, and like
I think I wrote that once.
His flow is a little slow, but I like it. Like he kind of has like, I don't know, he's from LA, but he has this really laid back Biggie influence to him. And like I hear a lot of Notorious B.I.G. influence, and then
I love his voice. I mean, that's
a good voice.
It's a unique thing. I love when I hear. That's why I love Danny Brown and Wiki, which we talked about before from Rat King. Well, formerly from Rat King, I guess.
Yeah, they're done now.
Yeah, I love those unique rappers clipping. To a certain degree. Open Mike Eagle kind of has just a little bit of a different delivery, and so in hip hop you can get the stuff on the radio, or you can get the stuff that everybody kind of sounds the same. So like the John Wayne, delivery is unique. It's different. It's so deep, and like I kept thinking like, who does it sound like? Who does it sound like? And I still can't remember or think of.
I hear Biggie there.
There is
right?
I mean, because you got the deep, the
deep monotone thing going on. But that was one of my favorite hip hop albums, and my Spotify thing told me like I listened to that album one of the most last year. So I don't know how accurate that shit is with Spotify, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. One more time, where can they find you at and find your top 50 and your Spotify playlist? He's got the Spotify playlist set up with it. He's got a lot of good music on there. I mean, we just brushed on a little bit here, but
It's yugoanrada.wordpress.com. And if you go on there, like I said, I have all the stuff from the previous years. This year's 100 songs. There's some videos that I liked, some live performances that I kind of tagged. I used to do it all with YouTube videos, and now I did it this year with Spotify links. So if you click on something, it'll link right to your Spotify. You can click on the list. I made that list public. My brother Sretan's going to one day do a YouTube list of all of them. And so I'll put that up there when that happens. And then,
2025.
2025.
If you, again, I do it because I like it. If you don't, if you go on there and you find something you like, that's cool. That's what it's all about.
Everybody, check it out because I respect his opinion on music. He has great taste. Go there, look at his top 10, listen to his playlists, all of that. And we're going to have you on again. We're going to have you with Johnny, and we're going to do that hip-hop thing. We're not going to tell you exactly what that is, but it's going to be fun. We'll have John on there. How is he doing, by the way? He was under the Green Door umbrella. He did fantasy football every week, but football's over.
He did John G's fantasy
John
hustle.
G.
Yeah. Just I think he's just sad he didn't win his fantasy league.
he's still a butter.
Yeah.
But we'll have you and John on, and we're gonna have a little hip hop special, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. But everybody, definitely check out next week. It's gonna be badass. We're gonna have our first live recording, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, real exciting.
Really exciting, and Bojan, thanks for coming out, dude.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Adios. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated.